Guys, so on these notes we're going to be looking at lines, and we're going to use the slopes in order to determine whether the two lines are parallel or perpendicular. So parallel lines, again, are ones that are never going to meet each other, never going to intersect, and we determine, or we identify that they're parallel using those two little arrows on there. So parallel lines have the same slope. So if you have two parallel lines, then they have the same slope. Okay? And if you have two lines with the same slope, it also shows that they are parallel. So if you're told to show that two lines, if you're given the equations or the slopes to show that they're parallel, you're going to just show that they have the same slope. And again, it's the symbol for a parallel is what I've got here, just two vertical lines going up and down. Vertical lines are going up and down, sorry. Perpendicular lines are lines that meet at a right angle to one another where they intersect. Okay? So perpendicular lines have, and this is going to be a little confusing for a second, let's wait till I explain it. They have negative, reciprocal slopes. So negative reciprocal slopes. And then again, the symbol we use to show things are perpendicular is this upside down T. Okay, so negative reciprocal slopes. Negative here just means that they have opposite signs. Okay, so if one's positive, the other one's negative. Reciprocal means if the slope is written as a fraction, you're going to flip it upside down, and that's what that means. So reciprocal, if you have some fraction a over b, the reciprocal, so I'm putting recip for that, is just going to be b over a. Okay, so you're literally just going to take it, you're going to flip it upside down to find the reciprocal. So if you have a number and you're trying to find its negative reciprocal, you're going to first change the sign. So if it is positive, you're going to make it negative, and then if it's negative, you're going to make it positive, and then in order to make it reciprocal, you're just going to flip the fraction. Okay? And remember, if you just have some whole number like 3 or 5 or negative 7, in order to make it into a fraction, you just have to put it over 1, and it is the same thing, because like 3 divided by 1 is 3, 5 divided by 1 is 5, and negative 7 divided by 1 is negative 7. So some examples here. We have 3 over 4. In order to find the negative reciprocal, since it's positive, we're going to change the sign. So we're going to use negative. Then we're going to flip the fraction. Instead of 3 over 4, it's 4 over 3. 2 is just a whole number, so we're going to put it over 1 to make a fraction. Since it's positive, again, its negative reciprocal is going to be negative. And then instead of 2 over 1, we're going to flip the fraction and have 1 over 2. I want you to try number 3. Go ahead and pause this video, okay? Pause it and try to determine what the negative reciprocal to 7 over 8 is, okay? Pause it, and then I will continue once you press play. Okay, so again, this one is negative, sorry. So we're going to change the sign. So instead of negative, it's going to be positive. I'm not going to write a positive sign because, you don't have to show that it's positive. But we have to flip the fraction. Instead of 7 over 8, it's going to be 8 over 7. So again, because this was negative, the original one was negative, the negative reciprocal is going to be positive, and then we just flip the fraction upside down. Positive 1 is going to be 1 over 1. Okay, if we change it, we change the sign first, negative, and then 1 over 1 is just going to be the same as 1 over 1, which is negative 1. Okay, so negative 1 is going to be the opposite reciprocal of that one. And then the very last one, I want you to go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. So we have 0, and again, I will show you that you just have to put it over 1 in order to make the fraction. Change the sign and flip it. Go ahead and pause the video now and see what you get. Think about what that means. All right, now that you've tried that, that's going to be 1 over 0, and it's going to be negative. Okay? But the thing is, 1 divided by 0, we cannot divide by 0. Anytime we divide by 0, it's going to be undefined. So I'm just going to put undefined. So anytime you divide by 0, your answer is going to be undefined because we cannot divide by 0. So now we're going to look at some lines, and it's giving us the points, the coordinate points for these lines. And we're going to determine the slope, and that's going to determine whether the lines AB and CD are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Okay? So if they're parallel, again, they're not going to meet each other. They're going to be like that. Perpendicular means they're going to meet at a 90-degree angle, a little right angle. And then if it's neither, they just meet at some weird angle that isn't necessarily right. Okay? So this one's parallel. This one's perpendicular, and I'm just going to put perp. And this one is neither. Okay? So in order to determine the slope, we're going to use this formula. So slope is y2 minus y1, so it's the change in y, divided by the change in x, so x2 minus x1. So in order to actually do these problems, we're going to start by labeling the points. Okay? In these two lines, so we have AB and CD. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that first. So AB, this line is going to have these 2 points. We're going to have x1, y1, and then x2, y2. Okay, so we're going to start with that one. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with CD, this other line. So x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, then you're going to solve for slope. So solve for m, you're going to use this formula, okay? So, and then you're going to do that for both lines. So here I'm going to show you this slope here, y2. We see y2 is under the 6, so we're going to put 6 minus y1. y1 is 3 because it's underneath the 3, divided by x2. Is 2 minus x1 is negative 2. Okay? 6 minus 3 is going to be 3. 2 minus negative 2, if you have 2 minuses in a row, it's going to be positive. So 2 plus 2 is 4. And the slope for AB is going to be 3 over 4. Okay? Now we're going to do the same thing for the second one. So we've got these points labeled already. So we have y2 is under this 3 here, minus y1 is a 0, divided by x2 is going to be the other 3, minus x1 is this negative 1. And again, since we have a double negative, we can just change it to a positive. So it's just going to be plus 1. And if we simplify that, we have 3 minus 0 is 3, divided by 3 plus 1 is 4. Okay, so the slope for the second one, the CD, is 4. And then you're going to decide whether it's parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Okay, I'm actually going to go ahead and go to a little flowchart that I've made to see, which I will also upload. Okay, so once you've determined both of the slopes, I want you to look at this little flowchart. You're going to start at the top and go toward the bottom, okay? And this is going to determine whether the two lines that you're looking at are parallel or perpendicular or neither, okay? So you're going to look at the two slopes that you've solved for. Are the slopes the same? If yes, then the lines are parallel. If no, then you're going to look at the first slope. You're going to change the sign and flip the fraction. Did you get the second slope whenever you did that? If yes, then the lines are perpendicular because they're negative reciprocals. And if no, then the lines are neither parallel or perpendicular, and your answer is going to be neither. So I'm going to upload this as onto Google Classroom as well, so you can look back at it. But let's go back to the problem we're looking at. Okay, so we have 3 over 4 and 3 over 4. Let's look at the diagram to determine whether these lines are parallel, perpendicular. Okay, so we have 3 over 4 and 3 over 4. So are the slopes the same? Yes. So the lines are parallel. So if you follow this, are the slopes the same? You go the yes route. The lines are parallel. So we have that these two lines that we're looking at here are parallel because they have the same slope. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw the two lines. Now let's try the second one again. Split it between AB and CD. Okay, we're going to label them x1, y1, x2, y2, x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, now we're going to determine the slope. So the slope for this first one, AB, is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 is 5 minus this x1 is 0. If we simplify this, we get 2 over 5 for this slope. Let's do the same for this one. The slope is y2, 3, minus y1 is 8, divided by x2 is 3, minus x1 is 1. Okay, that's going to give us negative 5, divided by 3 minus 1 is 2. Negative 5 over 2. So we have 2/5 and negative 5/2. So we have 2/5 and negative 5 over 2. Okay, so are they slopes the same? No, so we're going to go through this side. Okay, it says to look at the first slope, so we'll look at 2 over 5. Change the sign, so we're going to make it negative. Okay, and flip the fraction. Instead of 2 over 5, it's going to be 5 over 2. Did you get the second slope? Yes, since we did get the second slope whenever we change the sign and flip the fraction, these lines are going to be perpendicular to one another. So the lines that we're looking at here are perpendicular. Okay. Now for the third one, again, we're going to split it up between AB and CD. The slope, first we have to label points. x1, y1, x2, y2. And then the same thing here, x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay? So the slope is y2 minus y1, so we have y2 is 6, minus y1 is 8, divided by x2 minus x1 is 2, minus this negative 1. Okay? 6 minus 8 is going to be negative 2. 2 minus negative 1 is the same as 2 plus 1, so that's going to be 3. So the slope for this one is negative 2 over 3. Okay? Now this next one, again, y2 minus y1 on top, so 3 minus 2, divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, so if we simplify this, 3 minus 2 is 1, divided by 3 minus negative 1, so it's plus 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. So the slope for this one is 1 over 4. So we have negative 2/3 and 1/4. So we are looking at negative 2/3 and 1 over 4. So start from the top. Are the slopes the same? No. So we're going to have to be looking this way. Now if we look at the first slope, we're going to change the sign. So we're going to have a positive, okay? And then we're going to flip the fraction, giving us 3/2. Did this give us the second slope? No. 3/2 is not the same as 1/4. So since the answer is no, we know that the lines are neither parallel nor perpendicular. So they're not parallel or perpendicular. So we can go back to that and just write neither. Okay? So again, I'm going to split this in half. x1, y1, x2, y2, x1, y1, x2, y2. Now I want you to go ahead and pause the video and try and solve for both of the slopes. And we'll see if you get the right answer, and you can see what you did wrong if you did something wrong. So I'm going to pause it now and determine the slopes of these two lines. All right, so now we're going to figure out if you were right. So slope is y2 minus y1. So it's 4 minus y1 is 3 divided by x2 minus x1. So negative 1 minus x2, or x1, sorry, is 2. Okay, 4 minus 3 is 1. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. So we can take this negative sign over here. Negative 1 over 3. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing over here. y2, 6 minus y1 is 3, divided by x2, negative 4, minus x1 is negative 5. So 6 minus 3 is 3. Negative 4 plus 5, those double negatives change to a 5, it's going to be 1. Okay, and we can actually either write that as 3 over 1, or we can write it as 3. It does not matter. Okay, so we have negative 1/3 and 3. If we go to this, we are going to do negative 1/3 and 3. So are the slopes the same? No. So we're going to be looking over this side. Look at the first slope. We're going to change the signs to be positive. Flip the fraction. 1 over 3. Instead of that, it's 3 over 1, which is the same as a positive 3. Okay. Did you get the second slope? I did. And so since I did get the second slope, the two lines that we're looking at are perpendicular. Okay. So you draw that little line. So again, I'm going to go ahead and write the equation for slope over here. It's going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay. I want you to go ahead and try the rest of these. Go ahead and pause the video. I want you to try 5, 6, and 7. Okay. On your own, go ahead and pause the video and try 5, 6, and 7 on your own. And I will go ahead and give you the answers to the types of lines once you press play. All right, so you should have determined the slopes for each of these sets of 2 lines. Okay, so on the first one, you should have got 2 slopes that are the same. And so these lines are parallel, and you can also write out the word parallel if you'd prefer it. I'm just going to draw the 2 lines. These 2, you should get negative reciprocals of one another for the slope, so it's going to be perpendicular. And again, you're welcome to write perp or perpendicular out if you'd like. Okay, and then this last one, you should have gotten neither. No matter what you do, if you take one of the slopes and you change the sign and flip it upside down, you would not get the other one, and they're not the same slope. Okay? Now, I would like for you to try 8 and 9 on your own. I am not going to give you the answers to these 2. Okay? I want you to try them on your own and determine what you would get as your answer, and you can upload that with your notes to Google Classroom when you're done. I'm going to go ahead and copy it down here too, so that I can see it while I'm working, because I am going to go over number 10 with you so that you can see what happens in this weird situation. Okay, so again, we split it between AB and CD because these are the lines. So 3, 1, x1, y1, 3, negative 4s, x2, y2, and then x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay? So the slope for number 10 is going to be y2 minus y1, so negative 4 minus this 1 on the top, and then on the bottom, x2 minus x1, so 3 minus x1 is 3. Okay, so negative 4 divided, or minus, sorry, on top we have negative 4 minus 1, negative 5, divided by 0, 3 minus 3 is 0, and again, anytime we're dividing by 0, it's going to be undefined. So I'm just going to put you in D, E, F for that one. But I'm also going to remember, if we look at this, we can look at it as something divided by 0. Okay, so now if we try the next one, so it's y2 minus y1, 5 minus 1, divided by, okay, negative 4 minus negative 4. Okay, so that's going to give us 4 divided by negative 4 plus 4 is going to be 0. That's going to be undefined. Again, you cannot divide by 0, so the slopes are undefined. Okay, now looking at this one, you can see that they are both undefined. Okay, so they have the same slope. The problem is that you're going to think that this is not the same because you have negative 5 divided by 0 and you have 4 divided by 0. However, since they're both divided by 0, they're going to give you the same slope. So each of these undefined are going to be up and down. Okay? Since they're both straight up and straight down, they do not intersect each other, and they have the same slope, so they are going to be parallel. Okay? They're parallel. So anytime you have two things with undefined or zero, so like if you have the slope on both are 0, they're going to be parallel. And then if you have undefined and undefined, they're going to be parallel because, again, they're the same. But if we have a slope of 0 and a slope of undefined, okay, a slope of 0 means that it is from left to right, okay? And then if it's undefined, it is straight up and down. Since we have straight left to right and straight up and down, these are going to be perpendicular. So if you have a line with a slope of 0 and a line with a slope of undefined, then they're going to be perpendicular to one another. If you both have two lines of undefined slope, they're going to be parallel. Now I'm going to look at number 11, okay? So it gives us 4 points. So we have A and B here, and then we have C and D here, okay? But as you can see, this point C has an X, which means we don't actually know what the X value, or the value of that point is, okay? And we're going to use these in order to find what X is. So we know that we want AB and CD to be parallel. Parallel means they have the same slope. So we're going to have the slope of AB is equal to the slope of CD. Okay? Slope of AB. So we'll do x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay? So it's going to be y2 minus y1. So we have this 2 minus y1 is negative 12. So we're going to do plus 12 divided by x2 is negative 2 minus negative 9. So we're going to do plus 9. Okay? And we want that to be equal to, and I'm going to go ahead and erase these x1s and y2, x1 and x's, y's, in order to get them so I don't get mixed up. So x1, y1, x2, y2. We're going to do the same thing with C and D. Okay, so y1 is 6 minus y2 is negative 2, so it's going to be positive 2 because it's minus negative 2. And then on the bottom we have x1, or x2, sorry. I did this wrong. x2 minus x1. So it's going to be y2 minus y1. So negative 2 minus this 6 divided by x2 is negative 5 minus this x value that we don't know. Now we just have to solve for x. So we have this 2 plus 12 here is going to be 14. 9, 8, 7 divided by 7. It's going to be equal to, this is negative 8 divided by, and we'll keep this negative 5 minus x. Okay? So we're going to cross multiply here in order to solve for x. So we'll have 14 times this negative 5 minus x. And that's going to be equal to 7 times negative 8, which is going to give us negative 56. And here we can just go ahead and solve for x. We're going to distribute the 14, so 14 times negative 5 is going to be negative 70 minus this 14 times x. So 14 times negative x is going to be minus 14x. And we'll still have this equals negative 56. We'll add 70 to the other side. Okay. So if we have negative 56 plus 70, we're going to get 14 on this side. And then if we divide by this negative 14, it's going to give us that x is equal to negative 1. Okay? So again, because they are the same slope, because they're parallel, we know that they're going to have the same slope. We can solve for the slope, and we can determine what value of x would make it so that they have the same slope. So this next one I'm going to set up for you, but you're going to try and solve it on your own. So they're perpendicular. So we are going to have that the slope of AB is going to be negative and then 1 over the reciprocal. So you're going to flip the fraction, the slope of CD. Okay? So we're going to have y2 minus y1 here. So we're going to be looking at AB, x2, x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so we're going to have y2 minus y1 should be this y minus y1 divided by x2 is negative 1 minus 9. Okay, so that's the slope of the first one. And then the second one, we're going to make it negative, and we're going to flip the fraction. So instead of y's on top, like I have over here, we're going to do x's on top. Okay, so x1, y1, x2, y2. We're looking at C and D. So again, we're doing x's on top this time because we're changing the fraction, flipping it upside down. So x2 is negative 8 minus x1 is negative 5, so it's going to be plus 5. And then we're going to have the y's on the bottom because, again, we're looking at perpendicular, so we're flipping the fraction. Okay, so it's going to be y2 is 11 minus this y1 is 16. Okay, so we're going to have y minus 2 divided by negative 10. Okay, is equal to negative 8 plus 5 is going to give us negative 3. But negative 3 is going to be positive 3 divided by 11 minus 16 is going to be negative 5. So it's negative 3 over 5. Okay, I just want you to go ahead and solve for y. So we are going to solve for y. Go ahead and solve for y any way you know how. You can cross multiply. You can multiply the 10 to the other side and then add 2. Just solve for y. I want you to take the time now to go ahead and solve for y. Like I've said probably 1,000 times, I'm sorry for repeating myself so many times. Let me know if you guys have any issues with any of these. It's okay if you don't get number 12 completely right. You're not going to have a problem with a perpendicular on any quizzes or anything because that makes it a little confusing. You might have one kind of similar to 11 where you just have to set the two things equal to each other. But that's as hard as it'll get. Let me know if you guys have any questions with any of these, and I will see you guys later.